$63 million over 5 years, his agent told Bobby Marks. He was the number 5 overall pick out of Kentucky in 2017. Veteran sharpshooting forward Danilo Gallinari finalizing a 3-year, $61.5 million deal with the Atlanta Hawks. His agent of CAA Sports tells ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. And Steven Adams is headed to New Orleans as part of the Drew Holiday trade. Adams averaged almost 11 points and just over 9 rebounds last season for Oklahoma City. As for a few of the other deals that got done in the NBA, the Jazz reached agreements with both Jordan Clarkson and Derek Favors, who will be returning to Utah. Joe Harris is staying with the Nets after signing a 4-year, $75 million deal. And Mason Plumlee is headed to the Pistons. His deal, Randy, for 3 years and $25 million.
All right, El, thank you. Woj is with us all morning here on SportsCenter AM. And Woj, let's talk about this Montrezl Harrell deal. A surprise, even to Patrick Beverley, who tweeted, "What?" And then a couple of choice emojis here. So fun for his soon-to-be former teammate. How did this deal come together?
Well, after Dwight Howard surprised the Lakers, took that offer in Philadelphia, Montrezl Harrell needed a home. And the Lakers moved in, offered him their full mid-level exception. So now he'll go from being, playing that 6-man role in with the Clippers to perhaps now the starting center for the Lakers.
That's one heck of a lineup they're building, continuing to build with the Lakers there. And one deal that El told us about is the Drew Holiday deal and how Steven Adams moves to the Pelicans as a part of that. What more can you tell us about behind the scenes with a move like this?
Well, you've seen now Oklahoma City has moved toward a full rebuild. They traded Chris Paul. Danilo Gallinari is reported is going to Atlanta. And now Steven Adams, one of the most popular players in Oklahoma City's, league history. He'll go now with a year left on his contract. The Thunder get something for him. They get a first-round pick via Denver as part of that larger deal, a couple second-round picks. And Steven Adams will anchor that back line for Stan Van Gundy in New Orleans with a lot of young players, few better influences, locker room, and a player who can still play at a very high level.
Talk about building a culture. He's a guy who can do that there for Stan Van Gundy. That's Adrian Wojnarowski with the very latest. He'll be with us all morning.
Every hero needs theme music. Sit on the throne and you can never move it. I hear my destiny is calling. So say hello to the champion. Say hello. All these wins on the field, spiritual. They did that is magic. Welcome to the late show. I be King James version when I'm on the West Coast. So say hello to the champ. Let's go.
We just want our respect. Our organization want their respect. Laker Nation want their respect. And I want my damn respect too.
They say hello to the champ.
All right, how cool is this? Vince Carter joins us. We're going to start at the top of the Lakers, Vince, because they're the champs. Montrezl Harrell.
Let's do it.
He goes from the Clippers to the Lakers. Basically takes Dwight Howard's spot on the ledger. Howard goes to the 76ers. How does Harrell make the Lakers better, or does he?
He fills the void. Let's start there. I mean, his offensive ability, he can score a little bit, but defensively, he brings energy. He brings effort. He's a dog. It's tough to turn down a team that has LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the supporting cast that they have in the culture that the Lakers carry. So, can you blame them?
All right, your former team, or I should say your last former team, gives Gallinari 3 years, $60+ million. Where's he fit on that club, given your knowledge of that roster?
I tell you what. He's a knockdown shooter. He's a guy you cannot leave open. I think he's going to take a lot of pressure off of Trey because teams were starting to double team him in Trey, that is in the middle of the floor and side pick and roll. So now you swing to a guy like that. He's knocking down shots. Plus, I foresee them trying to sign one more guy. And if they do, I mean, they legitimately have a chance to make the playoffs.
All right, you played 22 seasons, so you spun the wheel of free agency fortune many times. What's it like? I mean, what's it really like?
Well, let me tell you, as a superstar player, as a go-to guy, as a franchise player, it's a little easier than it is as a reserve player. Like when you're in kind of the shoes of an Anthony Davis right now, it's like I'm losing sleep over what? I know I'm going to get a max contract. I know I'll probably end up in L.A. with a max deal. So what problems does he have? But as a reserve player, it's you're hoping your phone rings. And I was fortunate enough in my 40s that I was still receiving some phone calls and was able to finish out my career and walk away.
Well, you were fortunate enough because you were good enough. All right, James.
Thank you.
Free agency, not the only thing making noise in the NBA. James Harden.
Yes.
Once out of Houston, where's he going to be next season, or where do you want to see him be as an NBA guy?
I mean, it's kind of a drama series because he wants out. Houston's not going to just let him go or for anything. So I think early in the season, as of right now, he'll end up in Houston playing, and I'm sure he'll be disgruntled and not want to be there. I actually think I'd like to see him in Philadelphia. Imagine James Harden in a pick and roll situation with an Embiid, with a Dwight Howard, with the lob threat, kind of like the Capella James Harden we knew and loved years ago, which is going to open up, and they continue to have shooters. They have a lot of quality players and a great coach in Doc Rivers. I think that can work very well.
Hey, Vince, what color is that shirt you're wearing?
A little Carolina blue. That's all, a little Carolina blue.
Vince Carter, still dressed for success. Thanks, man.
Well, this is where the Lakers are right now, and it is rare for a championship team to kind of flip this whole roster. And first, we saw the move with Dennis Schroeder trading for Danny Green. He replaces Rajon Rondo. Wesley Matthews was signed for the biannual exception, replaces Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Oh, we can't get him in there. Montrezl Harrell replaces Dwight Howard. Nope, touchscreen's not working, but they're in there. Trust me, they're in there. And when you look at their resume, as far as what they have with that roster, 6 roster spots open. They've got bird rights on Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They still have the veteran minimum exception, and they're $14 million below the luxury tax. They still have some work to do here, but as you could see, this roster has totally flipped. The Montrezl Harrell signing, Wesley Matthews, Dennis Schroeder in the trade, and you still have, of course, LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
He's not a free agent, but he is unhappy. What's next for James Harden? How about Vince Carter on the best fit for Harden? That's later on schedule. De'Aaron Fox is their point guard of the future, agreeing to sign him to a max extension for at least $163 million over 5 seasons. His richest contract in franchise history, surpassing Chris Webber. League's reigning 6th man of the year, Montrezl Harrell, agreed to a 2-year deal with the Lakers, worth $19 million with a player option in year 2. Harrell ranked 2nd in the NBA in scoring off the bench at just over 18 points per game. And Danilo Gallinari cashed in with the Hawks, agreeing to a 3-year, $61.5 million deal. He should help an Atlanta team that shot just 33% from the 3 last season. That was the worst in the NBA. Oh, look at old Dwight Howard. I'm staying right where I belong. Laker Nation, I love y'all. Purple and gold never gets old. That's how it started. That's what he said. But what did he mean? He shuffled off to Philadelphia before the day was done.
We got just the man we need to talk to, Adrian Wojnarowski, joining us now on SportsCenter. So, Adrian, let's start at the top with the Lakers. Even as they won a championship last year, there were lots of questions about the depth and what they do outside of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They got some answers. They added Dennis Schroeder and now Wesley Matthews and Montrezl Harrell. What's going on with L.A.?
Yeah, they certainly had to address that center position once Dwight Howard headed to Philadelphia to play for Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey. And Montrezl Harrell comes from the Clippers, where he was, a very productive player. But they get him at essentially the mid-level exception, at 2 years, $19.5 million with a player option on year 2. And the priority for the Clippers was keeping Marcus Morris, and they're going to do that with a 4-year, $64 million deal, I'm told.
So Anthony Davis, no need to worry in L.A.?
Yeah, Anthony Davis will be back with the Lakers. He's going to take some time to decide, I'm told, at least through Thanksgiving next week, about how he wants to structure his deal with L.A. And, he certainly has several options in terms of the length. One option for him will be to get his contract lengthwise on par with LeBron James. That would be essentially a 3-year deal with a player option after the 2nd year, and then he and LeBron would be contractually aligned. They obviously share the same agent, Rich Paul.
All right, so meanwhile in Boston, Gordon Hayward opted out of his contract with the Celtics, but he may not be leaving. What's going on?
He still has, Hayward does, several options. His agent, Mark Bartelstein, has been talking with several teams on sign and trade scenarios where the Celtics would get back some players from, or perhaps picks from a team, and it would allow Hayward to do a multi-year, $100 million type deal, which is, he would like to get a long-term deal here. New York is offering, a bigger number on shorter years. That is an option for him. The Pacers and the Celtics had gone back and forth and talked. Gordon Hayward is obviously from Indianapolis, played at Butler. That has certainly been a scenario for him. And another scenario that remains there, Stan, is returning to the Celtics. He could re-sign with Boston, and if Boston wanted to trade him in the future, if he wanted to move on, it's a lot easier to do that down the road with Gordon Hayward if he's under contract.
The Hawks add some shooting with Danilo Gallinari, 3 years, $61.5 million. What are they thinking when it comes to roster building?
Well, they have a very talented young core Travis Schlenk has built in Atlanta, led by Trae Young, certainly. But they're a team that wanted to start to compete to get into playoffs. And you don't do that with young players. You do it with accomplished veterans like Gallinari. 3 years, $61.5 million for Gallo. The most ever for a player over 30 who's never played in an all-star game. That's an interesting fact on that deal. But he is a guy who can score the ball all over the floor. And I don't think the Hawks are done. They have more cap space. There's some more veteran players out there that they would like to add. They want a team that's going to compete a little closer to that 8th seed in the Eastern Conference.
The Nets thinking even bigger than that in the Eastern Conference. They keep Joe Harris. General Manager Sean Marks said that was their biggest priority in free agency, and they got it done. Very interesting situation in Brooklyn. What's going on there?
4 years, $75 million for Joe Harris. Listen, his career has blossomed with the Nets, and he was essentially out of the league when they brought him in there, and he's turned it into, a massive contract. Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. When you have players like that who command the kind of defensive attention those two do, when you have a shooter like Joe Harris out there, it was the kind of player that Sean Marks and new coach Steve Nash did not want to lose, and they keep Joe Harris now at that $75 million deal. And you're starting to see that Nets team. They brought in Bruce Brown from Detroit, and you're seeing their backcourt. Adding some backcourt depth and then solidifying it with Joe Harris.
Meanwhile, Sacramento is convinced that it has found the centerpiece of its franchise moving forward. De'Aaron Fox, he signs a max deal, $163 million, maybe up to $200 million. So what's the thinking there in terms of building around him?
Yeah, he has been for them a high draft pick with the Kings who has developed, blossomed, and they're going to continue to build around him. Tyrese Halliburton came in the draft from Iowa State. They love the idea of playing him there. Buddy Hield in that backcourt. And now you're going to see a couple of the other rookie extensions. Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell. Those are two other players who are eligible.